Without question, Dragon Age the Veilguard has a distinct style, and its art direction has been a point of contention since the game's reveal in June 2024. Indeed, while some fans have been vocal about their affinity for the aesthetics of the Veilguard's characters and environments, others have taken the position that the game simply looks too cartoony. Regardless of what your specific opinions about the Veilguard style may be, it is difficult to deny that its art direction is not strictly photorealist. Instead, the game adopts an aesthetic that might be described as a stylized realism, and it's influenced by several art historical movements. This video will provide an overview of the most present of those influences, and I hope viewers will walk away knowing more about the visual direction of Dragon Age the Veilguard. To note, this video will almost exclusively use imagery that was made available as part of the Veilguard's press push. As such, Dragon Age fans who have kept up with that material can feel confident that there will not be any additional spoilers in what follows. Speaking with Electric Playground Network in September 2024, the Veilguard's art director, Matt Rhodes, provided some direct insight into the art that influenced the game's style. Specifically, Rhodes indicated that the Veilguard is a continuation of a stylistic thread that began with Dragon Age 2, and that thread uses Northern Renaissance painting as its primary stylistic influence. The Northern Renaissance is a cultural movement that occurred, unsurprisingly, in Northern Europe, and it started in the 15th century. While there's a tremendous amount more that could be said about the Northern Renaissance, this video will focus exclusively on the oil paintings that came out of it, as those are what are pertinent to an examination of the Veilguard's influences. While oil painting does not have its origins in the Northern Renaissance, as there were oil paintings being made in Northern Europe as far back as the 12th century, the properties of the medium contribute directly to the aesthetics of the paintings from that period. To put this another way, oil allowed its users to render light, texture, and color in ways that were unavailable to artists painting with tempera, and those rendering techniques, in part, defined the visual characteristics of the Northern Renaissance paintings. What then are the visual characteristics of Northern Renaissance oil paintings? Perhaps the simplest way to put it is to say that the masters of the time depicted a realism that is not quite photoreal. To concretize this idea with an example, let's look at the Arnolfini portrait, an early Netherlandish masterpiece painted by Jan van Eyck in 1434. Here, we see some tremendous realism manifest in the textures of the figure's clothing, the reflection in the mirror on the far wall, and the light and shadows that are in play throughout the scene. However, the subjects' faces are free of blemishes, giving them an otherworldly softness and keeping the painting from feeling strictly photorealistic. This portrait of Sir Thomas More, painted by Hans Holbein the Younger in 1527, has a similar effect, combining highly realistic textures and lighting with moments of surreal softness, particularly in the subject's face. Additionally, both of these paintings utilize rich colors, whether it be in the green dress of the Arnolfini wife or the burgundy sleeves of More. This use of brilliant color is characteristic of Northern Renaissance painting, and it can be seen alongside the attention to texture and lighting that give the works of the movement their stylized realism. With a foundational understanding of the style of Northern Renaissance painting established, it is now possible to look at how it informs the Veilguard's art direction, and perhaps the most obvious manifestation is in the game's approach to texture. More specifically, the Veilguard pushes textural variation in a manner that feels akin to Northern Renaissance paintings, emphasizing realistic textures on hair, cloth, and other materials, while allowing certain elements, like character skin, to appear unnaturally soft or smooth. Notably, this softness is perhaps what fans that describe the Veilguard as cartoonish are responding to. Indeed, it is fair to say that the smoothness of some of the game's assets, like its characters, allow them to feel real, but not photoreal. So too, the game's brilliant colors, which appear in its environments, clothing, enemy design, and beyond, may contribute to the game's cartoony vibe. However, the use of rich colors in the Veilguard is more an influence of the paintings of the Northern Renaissance than an attempt to fall into the lineage of illustrated cartoons. Additionally, light plays a very important role in the Veilguard, as it does in Northern Renaissance painting. Indeed, the game's lighting makes a significant contribution to its pictorial depth and the overall style of its environments. Light in the Veilguard also has the ability to emphasize the painterly qualities of its character models, with the softness of faces really coming through under certain lighting conditions. While Northern Renaissance painting may be the primary inspiration for the Veilguard's overall art style, there are definitely some other art historical influences to be found in the game. Some of those other influences can be found in the aesthetics of the game's unique locations, particularly when those locations are not typically represented in Northern Renaissance painting. For example, this press material for the Veilguard shows grim locations that take obvious inspiration from the dystopian surrealist paintings of artists like Zdzisław Baczynski. This inspiration can be seen very clearly when looking at this painting by Baczynski from 1972, and it would not be unexpected to find hints of other artists' work in the game's other locales. Then there are the Veilguard cinematic sequences, which have a distinct visual language and their own influences. Namely, the game's cinematics seem to take inspiration from artists like Edmund Dulac, a figure that is associated with the golden age of illustration. This period, which began in the late 19th century, is characterized by high-quality illustrated storytelling, and indeed storytelling is at the core of the game's cinematic sequences. To note, we have definitive confirmation that Dulac and similar artists served as inspiration for the more graphically focused assets in Dragon Age Inquisition. Indeed, this specific influence was noted by Inquisition's Director of Art and Animation, Neil Thompson, during a presentation at GDC 2015. It is thus not surprising that Dulac's influence has found its way into the Veilguard, as the game is considered a continuation of a stylistic thread that began in the series' preceding entries. This illustrated style is not only found in the Veilguard's cinematics, though, as it is also used for the game's codex. For this presentation, a tarot card-esque motif is applied to the artwork. This type of motifing was also used in Inquisition, further cementing the Veilguard as a continuation of the series' previously established art direction. Finally, I would be remiss to not mention the paintings of Frank Frazetta, the godfather of fantasy art, when looking at the art historical influences behind the Veilguard. Undeniably, Frazetta's work embedded itself into the DNA of BioWare's art direction as far back as Baldur's Gate, where it can be seen clearly in character portraiture, and it has not been fully shed for its latest game. That said, Frazetta's influence on BioWare may have hit its peak with Dragon Age Origins, as Northern Renaissance painting stepped into the spotlight for subsequent entries in the series. While there are certainly more art historical influences at play in Dragon Age the Veilguard, hopefully viewers now have a better understanding of some of the movements that are at the foundation of the game's style. If there are any artists and movements that you feel had a direct impact on the game's art direction, I'd love to hear about them in the comments, and please do consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.